Welcome in to WarUp on the WPIAL. Greg Warnock alongside Jeff Upson. And Jeff, I wore your Steelers shirt here today because I know you're proud of those Steelers getting a win.
You think I'm proud of the Steelers? Yeah.
I think so.
I actually
You were so disappointed, so heartbroken last week. I had to get it out for you, buddy.
I actually kind of wanted them to go. I didn't want them to win the rest of the year, so that way they would fire Mike Tomlin. But that hasn't happened. So I'll take the win over. I'll take the win over Baltimore for sure. I mean, they're going to play. They're going to play them again in 2 weeks. So, listen, the Steelers are always in the hunt. Always in the hunt.
Well, I mean, they got to be 9-8, right? That gives Tomlin above 500.
Has to be.
Maybe gives them a number 7 spot. You know, that's just that's how they've done it the last few years.
Yeah, and then they'll lose the first round of the playoffs like they always do. So
right, and they keep Tomlin around.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, mediocrity at its best.
Well, it was a fun first week of wrestling action, and it's great to get it back underway here in the 2025-2026 season, and a lot of good matchups, Jeff, early on. And let's start with the couple that we previewed in last week's show. We talked about Norwin and Canamac, and then Canamac taking on Connellsville. The first one happened between Norwin and Canamac, and Norwin with the 31-24 victory.
That was a huge match. I got to see that one there. It was, I'll tell you what, I love these early season dual meets, because they get to see exactly where guys are to start. And it was just a lot of really good matchups. I'll tell you, Norwin looked sharp. Norwin looked like they were in wrestling shape. They looked like they were ready to go. Canamac looked flat. They just looked flat in a lot of aspects on Tuesday night, but then you fast forward on Thursday and I saw a completely different team. But if you break down the Norwin-Canamac match, that was a 31-24 victory. Probably not a lot of movement and shaking in the lineups per se. Sidden started at 21. Dreschman was at 14. Both those guys got pins back to back. Butera got a pin over Relic. The matchups that I had circled as maybe toss-ups were 27-33 with Jonah Gardner against Brooks Blasco and Klippa versus Emma. Klippa and Emma, I think you could wrestle that 10 times, and it's 50-50. It's 5-5. Collier Hartman, Klingensmith held him to a decision. That to me was a little surprising. Klingensmith was able to tie up Hartman a lot, and really Collier just didn't look like he was able to get to his offense very well. The person who I was probably impressed with the most between both teams was freshman Noah Curran from Norwin. He was absolutely incredible against a really tough Aiden Finnegan, who we had mentioned in the show last week about that sophomore class from Cannon McMillan. Noah Curran, first varsity action as a freshman in high school, and comes out and gets a tech fall over a very good sophomore. So that to me was probably the biggest takeaway, was how good he looked. The Collins were held to decisions. Bryce and Braden were held to decisions each. I think that can flip potentially next time. Owen Rush did not wrestle for Canamac at that point. So yeah, it was a fun duel. But I'll tell you what, man, Norwin looked really the part. Now, they went and they wrestled Malvern Prep over the weekend and lost to them pretty handily. I think Sidden was the only one who got a win there. So, they go from beating a really good Canamac team to getting thumped by a really, really good Malvern Prep team. But for the WPIAL purposes, it's a crapshoot between all these teams. And we'll talk about Canamac and Connellsville here in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a top 10 nationally ranked team in Malvern Prep, so nothing to really hang your head about, that's for sure. But yeah, another one that I thought too, Jeff, even obviously Jack White's a solid wrestler for Norman, but Mason Calgaro getting majored, especially when Mason Calgaro had a huge win against Connellsville on Thursday night.
Yep.
Canamac ends up beating Connellsville 39-16, but he gets a big win over Luke Lilly 5-3, which is one of just several big ones for Canamac.
Yeah, I mean, so I think I talked about it because we streamed the Canamac Connellsville match live, and I almost said it was like a tale of two teams, right? Because the team I saw on Tuesday, again, little flat. They were letting Norwin sort of dictate the pace and really the styles of the match, right? It was always Norwin. Flip it around to Thursday, Cannon McMillan just came out like a ball of fire against Coswell. Now, we're going to look and analyze this dual meet, and it's not going to look the same this time around than it will probably in a month, 2 months. You're going to see some guys drop in weight for Coswell. You're going to see some guys inserted in. But regardless of that fact, there was some really, really good performances. Lee Dreschman from Cannon Mac, freshman, very solid freshman, weighed in at 14, bumps up to 21. Zach Franks is a guy who we know how good he is. He's on his way down to 14, is not going to get there just yet. Dreschman comes out, beats him 4-1. Cannon Mac gets a forfeit at 107. That was pretty huge because Coswell didn't have a 107-pounder, so you start off right away. That hurts, right? But again, outside of all of that, it was still all Cannon Mac. I mean, John Emma, Tech Fall, Daniel Smith, a tough Daniel Smith. We got number 1 Kai Vielma versus number 5 Collier Hartman at 145. And to be honest with you, Cannon Mac didn't have to do that, but I think they wanted that matchup. They wanted to see where Collier was. He loses 7-2 to Vielma. Calgaro, as you mentioned, comes back in a big way and beats Luke Lilly, who I think both Lilly brothers are really going to progress a lot this season. Collins gets a fall, or a tech fall. Bryce Collins, I should say, and Braden Collins gets a fall. It was all Cannon Mac, man. And I think it just shows how much parity there is in the WPIAL this year in AAA. I mean, it's anybody's game. It's anybody's for the taking. And I can't wait to see what happens and how it shakes out.
And speaking of that, how much did that shake out the top of your rankings?
Yeah, I mean, so there was a lot of shakeups. I mean, Emmaus beats Becca, which not super surprising considering Becca's down and Emmaus just has a lot of hammers. But Norwin beating Cannon Mac, then Cannon Mac beating Cosville. Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy to see AA and AAA because AA, you have such strong nationally ranked powers in Faith Christian, Bishop McCourt, Bishop McDevitt, I would throw in there as well. Berks Catholic. But then in AAA, you have Notre Dame, Green Pond, and Nazareth. I mean, Easton's kind of even, they just took a loss to Boyertown. So there's not really a firm, yes, these three are the best teams in the state right now. So I love it. I mean, I like it when you don't necessarily have those dominant storylines like we have the past couple of years with Bishop McCourt and Faith Christian. But yeah, the dual team state rankings are completely messed up, which is fun. I mean, that's what makes it fun. Rankings don't matter, and what happens on the mat is what matters. And Cannon Mac got the matchups. They got the wins when they needed to. They got bonus points where they needed to. They, Gianno Gardner, he had that huge win over Tommy Gretz at 27. So Dreschman bumps up to 21, gets a win. They bump Gretz up, and he loses to Gianno Gardner. So there was, again, just so many things that went Cannon Mac's way. They looked like a completely different team. So I don't know what Jordan Mayer did between those duels, but whatever they did, it fixed a lot of things. And yeah, I'm excited to see because Trinity, I got a lot of flack from some Trinity folks, including my father, who is a Hiller himself, and Trinity took Franklin Regional to the brink here at the Trinity Duels.
Yeah, let's get to that one in a moment. But first, wanted to highlight probably the best match on Wednesday night, Jeff, around the WPIL, and that was Peters Township and Fox Chapel. Peters Township with the win, 36-34. But really, one of the matches to highlight. I mean, there's several that you could talk about, but the one at 145 pounds really stuck out. Dane McMillan was down big going into the third period against Andrew Kratza and comes back, wins 16-15, and really that decides the dual meet with Peters Township winning by 2.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this and you say, because Fox Chapel, I mean, they were in the mix last year and they returned a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
they lost a good amount, but this was a good dual meet. And as you mentioned, 45 was kind of the one that sort of set that tone with that 16-15 win. That was the match, right? But yeah, this was another fun dual meet, and I think we're going to see a lot of those from the north section.
Sliding over to the you mentioned the Trinity duels, and obviously a lot of good matchups here, and really this has been a dual meet that I feel like has decided a lot for the steering committee, right? When you're thinking about where you see some of these teams, because they do face off against each other in this dual tournament. But you look at West Allegheny, they had a good day, right? They knock off Cathedral Prep 41-26. They also beat Bell Vernon 38-30. But the match you alluded to, and it was a championship bout, Franklin Regional does defeat Trinity, but it came down to a tiebreaker with Franklin Regional winning 34-33.
Yeah, and it was it was a nail biter, man. I mean, you look at some of these matches here. I have 139 circled because you had Jacob Wright for Trinity gets 16-14 win over Bushasoni from Franklin Regional. That right there was huge for Trinity. Now I will mention Franklin Regional was without Bo Fennick at 114 pounds, which certainly that hurts. That hurts Franklin Regional, but I'll tell you this: Trinity came to wrestle, and they really looked good. It just it wasn't enough, right? But I'll tell you, this was going to be. I thought this was probably going to be the finals, but I didn't think it was going to be this close. And I don't think when we talked about the teams to watch last week, we had mentioned Trinity at all. So that's my mistake, and actually it's your mistake, Greg. You're supposed to be the one that keep me in line. So I'll blame you. But yeah, it's Trinity. Trinity's got a special team, man. I mean, there was definitely some guys that stepped up, but having Bo Fennick out certainly hurt Franklin Regional, and not having guys down yet to wait is going to hurt them until they get some guys down. You're not going to see Nassif in the lineup. Well, you're not going to see him where he probably should be until you get some guys movement. So yeah, it's going to be fun to see where these teams end up, but definitely a nail biter for Franklin Regional.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And obviously that you get Fennick back in the lineup. Parker Jennings obviously doesn't get a fall at 114. And I mean, Parker Jennings is a solid wrestler in and of himself, but obviously that's some points that Franklin Regional gets back right there alone. But overall, definitely was a solid matchup, and I think one where just some of these Trinity guys, I think we mentioned a couple of them, like a Gavin Bricker,
Yes.
but you just didn't know what to expect. You know what I mean? I think that's where coming into it, you knew they were bringing in back a couple of guys, right? Jennings, Dom Canali, to name a couple, but you just didn't know what to expect from some of the other guys. So obviously, it's kudos to them for and Ron Tarquinio for getting them ready and having them come out and have a solid outing here in early December.
Yeah, I agree with you. And again, I think it just continues to show the parity in the WPIAL. When you look at Double A, McGuffey dominated the John Marshall Greg's Market Wrestling Invitational. They went 6-0, including a win over Seneca Valley 41-35, but they also beat John Marshall 38-30. So that was a good win for them. McGuffey, I like to see them go to these dual tournaments in West Virginia and kind of see where their team shakes out. And yeah, it was a lot of good wrestling for the first couple. It seems like sometimes it gets slow. You don't get the good matchups. You don't get some good duels and good individual matchups. And really, I feel like we started with a bang in the WPIAL, at least, especially from a team standpoint, because I think I have more questions than we got answers from this past weekend as the dual team situation. We're going to have a chance to look ahead to some of those duels this coming weekend. We've got the Moon duels, we've got the Hampton duels. There's a lot of duels that are going to be happening where you're going to see where some teams are shaking out. And of course, once the 2 pound hits in a couple weeks, now we're really going to see if guys are coming down and lineups are going to get a little bit more solidified.
Absolutely. Kiski area also. We don't have all the results, Jeff, but from what we saw, a solid outing at the Sheets Kickoff Classic as well. So I want to give mention to that as well. A couple of individual tournaments from this past weekend. We had highlighted them last week. The Tom Best Top Hat Tournament, and Derry obviously was there, as well as Connellsville. And a couple of highlighted wrestlers. We'll start at 107 pounds. Mason Kiesecker of Derry, a third place finish in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a breakout for a lot of the Derry freshmen that we had mentioned. This was a chance for them to really test to see where they were at. Kiesecker, I think, had a good tournament. Third is a good result for him. He beat Owen Wolfgang from Tri-Valley to take third. Cam Martinez was able to beat Sean Morley. Both those guys are highly ranked in AAA. So yeah, it was a good showing for Kiesecker, and I think he's only going to get better as the year progresses.
Yeah, and his teammate Patrick Bulger, also a third place finisher at 114 pounds for Derry as well. Nico Capusta of Hempfield area, he finished in third place at 121. Tommy Gretz ends up winning it at 121, and Zach Franks in the same weight finishes in fifth place.
Yeah, 21 was one of the weights that I had circled as these things could go off the wall crazy. I didn't expect Matt Rolls from Clearfield, who's a sophomore who missed all of his freshman season due to an injury, come out and pin his way into the finals and then get pinned in the finals by Tommy Gretz. But he pinned Nico Capusta, which was pretty surprising to me. Just because he's essentially a freshman. We didn't see him at all last year. We haven't seen him much, and we saw him in the preseason a little bit, but he had a heck of a tournament. Tommy Gretz puts an end to his run, gets a solid win there. But Capusa taking third, beats Gabe Benyo from Hazleton, and Zach Franks taking fifth was all very impressive for the WPIAL. But this was such a fun weight class at 121 was at the top hat.
127 was top heavy as well. Nolan Rice of Connellsville finished in third place. Nate Caracciolo of Hempfield area finished in seventh. But when you have Brock Rothermel and Carter Chunko as well in that weight, it was very top heavy at 127.
Yeah, I mean, and if you didn't watch that finals match between Rothermel and Chunko, I implore you to go on and watch that. We streamed the finals live. We streamed all the matches live, but that was one heck of a finish for Brock Rothermel. Nolan Rice finishing third there was a very good performance. People may say, well, it's third at the top hat. You had two guys that are nationally ranked, but Rice beat a couple guys that are state ranked right now. So that was a really good performance by him. And again, just shows kind of the solidness of the Connellsville lineup as you look through the middleweights.
Yeah, no doubt. Landon Lynn of Connellsville finished in sixth place at 133 pounds. Camden Olson of Derry finished in third place at 139. Chase Sparks of Connellsville finished in seventh place, as well as Daniel Smith finished in fourth place as well. And it's nice to see you're able to get multiple representatives in certain weight classes. 145, Kai Vioma continues to show off his top ranking here early in the season with a first place finish.
Yeah, I mean you look at the rankings for Kai Vioma, and he's wrestled now the number 5 and number 4 ranked guy in the state in the last week, right? So he beats Collier Hartman, who was number 5 on Thursday, and then he goes and beats Aiden Coons from Central Mountain, who was number 4 in the state at 145, beats him 5-2. So again, battle tested early. I love to see that from these guys, and especially you're the number 1 ranked guy in the state. That's a big deal. And I forgot to mention one of the bigger individual results from the Trinity duels was Elijah Brown, returning state champion, committed to Penn State, losing to sophomore Kendall Orr from Du Bois in a 10-8 match. That was a crazy result early in the season. So, a couple number 1s go down.
Wow. Nothing like early season ranking upsets, that's for sure.
Makes my life easy.
152, Luke Lilly of Connellsville had that tough loss against Canamac. He ends up coming back to win the Top Hat tournament. And William McNeil, another freshman for Derry, he finished in fourth place.
Yeah, and you look at some of these names in there. Tanner Kane, he's a solid wrestler from Conestoga Valley. McNeil finishes ahead of him. Luke Lilly, though, I mean, you really didn't know what to expect with him after this week's performance, right? So he comes back and wins. It wasn't the deepest weight class by any standards, but it was a solid weight class, and Luke Lilly wins it. So impressive by him. And the McNeil brothers, this was really what I wanted to see. I wanted to see Olson, I wanted to see Balder, I wanted to see Kiesecker, and they certainly didn't disappoint.
Yeah, 160. Jake Lilly of Connellsville finished in third. Ewan Olson of Derry, he finished in fifth place. 172. Mason Horwath of Derry, he was your champion. And Cooper Lembo of Connellsville finished in seventh place.
Yeah, Horwath, I mean, he's up 20 pounds from last year. He's definitely gotten bigger, and he had a tough sophomore in Nolan Savage in the finals and beats him 4-0. But this is a good barometer for him to see kind of where he's at his new weight, and I think he showed that he's in good shape because this was a good weight class. All these guys from 1 through 6 were all state ranked coming into this tournament, so for him to get that win and really dominate up to the finals was very impressive.
189. Dylan Little of Connellsville finished in seventh place, and at 285 pounds, it was Rogan Hollis of Connellsville finishing in sixth place. So overall, I mean, Connellsville and Derry, it was good to see them both, in this tournament, right? Because they had a lot of good individuals, especially Derry and those freshmen. But overall, a good start to the season from this past weekend's individual tournament.
Yeah, and you look at it, and Emmaus, they win the title, but Connellsville finishes in second, and Derry's in fifth place. So 2 top 5 finishes for the WPIAL, and both these teams, Derry and Connellsville, they could be WPIAL champs this year. Obviously, Connellsville was a team that we had talked about being one in the hunt this year, but I like seeing Derry in an individual tournament before we start seeing him in a duel, because now we get to see a little bit of how those guys are doing and what that lineup's really going to look like. And now we just got to see Burrell. We got to see Burrell and see where they're at.
The Short Tiers Houston tournament was loaded with WPIAL teams, and we'll go through the weights and talk a little bit about this past weekend's wrestling action. At 107 pounds, Bryce Thomas of Moon wins a wild one in the final, 17-10 over Braden Hanning of Jefferson Morgan.
And this was another tournament that we had streamed live. So again, I implore you to go check out the live stream of the replay of the finals for this one. Bryce Thomas, he's had a really good offseason. Went down the Super 32, got some good wins. And Braden Henning, I feel like you look at Slangle from Elizabeth Ford and Hanning from Jefferson Morgan. Those two have wrestled in literally every preseason event that's been on this side of Pennsylvania. They've been everywhere. So I'm not surprised to see them finish second and third, especially Wolfslagle getting a win over Sinan from North Allegheny. But Bryce Thomas, 17-10, definitely a wild match for him. A lot of people were kind of surprised to see him down at 107 already, but I think it fits in exactly nice for Moon, especially having Hayden Seymour, a freshman, following him at 114.
Yeah, and talk about Hayden Seymour, Jeff. Not only did he win, he just dominated as he won by technical fall, except in the semis where he won by a 16-2 major decision, but came in as the 7 seed and ends up just totally dominating and won by tech in the finals over Gio Polito of North Hills. But Seymour was the real deal.
Yeah, I mean, and again, 14 wasn't a deep weight class, but it was still a good weight class, right? Anytime you're a freshman coming into your first varsity tournament, right, there's always going to be, what are the expectations, no matter how good you are. But Seymour just dominated. So yeah, I'm excited to see him compete against some of the more well-established wrestlers in the WPIAL and see kind of where he stacks up.
121 pounds, Preston Bubash of Elizabeth Forward gets a fall in the first period over Nick McGarity of Peters Township to win it. Bubash also defeats Anthony Jones of Shaler by 10-3 in the semifinals. McGarity got challenged a little
Yeah.
bit by Becca Geary of St. Mary Ripken, Maryland. It was 5-5 when he got the fall in the second period in the semis. So McGarity coming out a little sluggish and Bubash coming in and looking strong.
Yeah, and I'm wondering how much. I don't know. I haven't seen him, McGarity, physically, but I did watch the finals, and I don't know how terribly big or strong he is at 121, but certainly you look at his semifinals and the finals. You're saying something may be going on there. Bubash came out like a ball of fire. He really did, right? He came out just swinging for the fences. And after that tough semifinal match that McGarity had, I think Bubash just saw an opportunity and certainly took it. So, yeah, that was a fun match to watch. And Jones, I think, kind of in the same boat. I'm wondering, he's kind of like a taller, lankier 121 pounder, but I'm wondering if some of these guys start looking at descending down to 114.
127, Bruce Anderchak of Quaker Valley. He had a dominant performance, ended up winning by technical fall in the semis and the final to defeat Nick Savannah of Butler in the championship for the gold.
Yeah, and you look, and this was a good weight. You had Victor Wagner from North Catholic. You had Schaumburg from North Allegheny. Anderchak, I just feel like, we've been talking about him, I feel like, for 8 years. I feel like he's lived
Yeah.
2 high school careers. And especially it always starts at the Chartiers Houston Invitational, right? We always talk about Bruce Anderchak, and he's had success here for a long time, and he's going to continue to have success throughout the season. Last year didn't end the way he wanted to. He was certainly banged up and, didn't get to where he wanted to be. So I think this is kind of a revenge tour for him in that last hurrah for Anderchak, and obviously starts it out in a really big way.
133, Santina Sloboda of Butler dominates with technical falls throughout to win the title over Brady Rohaley of North Hills in the final. Noah Collins of West Green was coming in and looking like he was going to look sharp early on as a number 2 seed, but ended up medical forfeiting out from the semis to drop down to 6th.
Yeah, I was impressed with Sloboda. Obviously, we know how good he is. I do anticipate him eventually getting down to 127, but he was on a different level, which we expected. Sala had a good tournament for Mount Lebanon. Miles Hoover is, those Hoover boys, man. They're known to, just be gritty, tough, hard-nosed wrestlers, right? And he's a freshman, and he comes in and takes 4th here over 2 guys that have been around with Noah Patton and Noah Collins. So definitely excited to see what Miles Hoover can do for NA this year.
139, Cale Yannick of Moon was your champion, 11-4 over Olympic Sarario of Mars, a guy we talked about last week, Jeff, but he had the big win in the quarterfinals over top seed Drake McClure of Bentworth, 3-2 to get to the finals before dropping to Yannick.
Yeah, and much like we talked about with Hayden Seymour, this is a huge test for a freshman now. Olympic Sarario was able to get that really marquee win for him in his first varsity tournament and getting a big win over Drake McClure from Bentworth, a seasoned guy. But Cale Yannick takes care of business in the finals. He's another one, Cale Yannick, I feel like we've been talking about for years. Just hasn't quite, he qualifies for states, but I think this is kind of the year for him to really make a statement and get top 8 in the state. If he can just put it all together, I think this is a good chance for him to do that.
145, Jacob Chacon of Montour. He was your champion. A wild one, 16-12 in the final over Aiden Tovella of Shaler.
Yeah, and Chacon, this was 45 wasn't the deepest of weights, but I think it kind of gets to see, especially when it comes to double-A, sort of the pecking order of where guys are. Tovella from Shaler I thought was impressive, kind of coming in, not saying unknown, but certainly not somebody that was high on the radar. So just to see him battle with Chacon was impressive.
152, Griffin Reed of North Allegheny had a big 7-5 win over Rook Smith of Montour in the semis, and then he ends up winning in the finals over Angela Malee of Chartiers Houston by technical fall. Smith ends up coming back for third, and Malee, he had a great tournament of his own right, coming in, taking away and knocking off numbers 3 and number 2 seeds to get to the final.
Yeah, I mean that was, despite him getting teched in the finals, that was certainly the guy I had circled as the impressive one. And it's hard to say that with a straight face considering he's the guy who got teched in the finals. But I thought just the expectation why him coming in, I was not expecting him to be in the finals, especially when you look at some of the guys in the bracket. As you mentioned, Rook Smith, a state medalist, Buccelli from Bethel Park, Noyes from Burgettstown. I mean, these are all guys that have been there, done that. So yeah, that was a good showing for him. But I think it shows Griffin Reed. It's like he was close last year. He had a lot of really good wins. I remember him at the Bethlehem Liberty Hurricane Classic and had some really good wins out there out east. And I just think he is, again, like Cale Yannick, I think this is his season to kind of put it all together and really make a statement.
160 pounds, Jordan Thompson of Bradford. He was a winner by tech fall in the finals over Gino Orlindi of Jefferson Morgan.
Yeah, and Christian Lowther takes third there. Thompson's a stud. Thompson's really, really good. He's a state medalist and somebody that is committed to Edinboro. He's really jumped levels, I think, over the summer, so I'm not surprised to see that. Matt Dana from Quaker Valley, he's kind of moved up a little bit in weight to 160. Curious to see, he had to default in that third and fourth place match, so curious to see how he is and if he's healthy moving forward.
172, Liam Costa of Moon, a 7-0 winner over Carter Morvay of North Hills. Costa also had a big one in the semis, 4-2 over Owen Ivsick of Bentworth.
Yeah, this was a really good weight class because you had the top three here that are just super solid with Liam Costa, Morvay from North Hills, who we've seen a lot of, and Ivchik, who has been super impressive throughout his career. So Costa is a guy, again, like his teammates, like Bryce Thomas, like some of these other guys. I feel like he's wrestled every single tournament in the preseason. So it's funny because you look at, when I look at these names, it's like, okay, I've been looking at this same name for the last 3-4 weeks, right? Especially doing preseason rankings and just trying to see where guys are weight-wise. I can tell you exactly all the guys that have competed in preseason tournaments, right? And it's no surprise that the guys that you see the most names in the early season, they're the ones finishing high on the podium, right? It's just the way it is, right? But Liam Costa was definitely one of those guys. So I thought that was a big showing for him because 72's it's going to be a loaded weight class this year, in my opinion, in the WPIAL and the West region as overall.
189 pounds, Michael Oshusky of Moon. He was your champion by tech fall in the finals over Austin DiMartino of North Hills.
Moon's got a good team, right? I mean, if you look at them on paper, they've got 5-6 really solid guys. If they can fill out some of these other weights and get some guys to compete and not give up bonus points, they're going to be a tough out. They wrestle Franklin Regional, I believe, this week. That's going to be a good test for them. And Franklin Regional trying to, I say, rebound from the Trinity duels, but they certainly want to have a better performance. Yeah, I'm excited to see Moon and see where they're at. I probably should mention them too as a dual meet team because you just never know, right? I mean, I think now that 5 teams have expanded to 10 teams where you throw them up in a hat and see who comes out. I think it's expanding.
Oh, no doubt about it. They had a great weekend and it shows, right? So see if they can continue this trend that they've started and stay hot. 215 pounds, Evan Gavin of St. Mary's, Ripken, Maryland. He was a winner in the finals by fall over Noah Lehue of Best Center. Yeah,
Lehue's a guy, another one who we've seen a lot of up to 215 this year, and interesting to see how he does. Definitely a more wide open weight class. 285 was a weight class that surprisingly I was very excited to see just for rankings purposes. and more for Double A than it is Triple A. But yeah, I was excited to see heavyweight. I know that's going to shock you, Greg, because I don't very rarely say that.
Well, and you know what? Colin White last year, had some tough battles, right, within some tournaments, losing early, having to battle back. Gets to the finals this time as the top seed, but does fall 7-2 in the finals to Braden McConaughey of North Allegheny.
And Habdel from Montour had a good win over Landon Heath from Jester Morgan. Signetti from Shaler, also in the mix there, takes fifth. So, yeah, Colin White, we had talked about him and taking some losses and then battling back. And, yeah, I think this is, again, a year for him where when you look at the state, the landscape, he has a chance to finish very high in Hershey, should he put everything together.
So it was a good weekend, first weekend of wrestling action, and obviously now we're getting into the thick of things a bit here over the next couple of weeks before the Christmas holiday and then getting into the holiday tournaments. But you look at some of the dual meets coming up this week, Jeff, obviously more wrestling action coming up. Which one's your favorite that you're looking to if you had to be somewhere on Wednesday night, where would you want to go?
Yeah, well, I did verify Moon is at Franklin Regional, so I'd probably be there to see that one because you got some good individual matchups that you could potentially see, depending on what I'm sure both coaches are looking at getting a win, not necessarily getting individual wins, but you certainly have some good matchups that you could see. Liam Costa, Ethan Cartwright is one. Not sure who we're going to see at 139 for Franklin Regional, but you could see, if Bo Fennick is back, which I would doubt to see that he's back that soon after being out for the weekend, but I'd love to see him and Hayden Seymour wrestle. But yeah, it's going to be a fun dual meet. Other than that, I mean, there's not a ton of matches that certainly jump off the page at you. Fox Chapel, Hampton, they seem to always have good matches. North Allegheny, North Hills, battle of the two rivals there. So, but on paper, Moon and Franklin Regional and probably West Allegheny and Collinsville will have the best potentially individual matchups of the dual meets happening this week.
Yeah, I think Plum and Penn Trafford should be another one that should be pretty good if you're in that area as well. And we'll see what also, Peters Township off their win against Fox Chapel, they'll host Bethel Park, who obviously, had a strong finish last year. Obviously they have some changes, but, we'll see what happens there in the South Hills too. So should be a good one there as well. This weekend, you got a lot of dual meets coming up. Obviously, the big tournament that everyone will be talking about, not so much in the WPIAL, but just across the country, is the Walsh Ironman tournament.
Yeah.
But with the WPIAL not really focused in that area, obviously we're not going to get too deep into it. But a lot of good dual meets coming up, Jeff, that should showcase a lot of WPIAL teams.
Yeah, I mean, I love this weekend for that reason because you got the Hampton Dog Duels, right? The Hampton Dog Duels, they bring in Altoona. You got Fox Chapel, Latrobe, Hampton, Indiana, Thomas Jefferson. I think Titusville is coming this year, so I really like those duels. Kiski area is hosting their own duels, which has Canamac, Du Bois, Hempfield, North Allegheny, Penn Trafford, Peters Township. I mean, those are all really good matchups, good teams that you're going to see compete throughout the season at a high level. And then you have the Moon Duels with Beth Center, Central Valley, Derry. Paul Meyer comes in. They always have a good bunch of kids, especially lightweights, I feel like. Pine Richland, West Allegheny. So that's a good one. Mac McGuire duels as well are going on. North Hills duels. So it seems like just a whole slew of dual tournaments going on where, again, looking at the rankings and the dual team standings, this is a good weekend to sort of really solidify that pecking order. yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. We didn't mention the Hickory tournament, Greg, that happened this past weekend. Penn Trafford, Plum, and Latrobe were there. Dylan Barrett looked really, really solid throughout the tournament. He gets a dominating performance. He looked really good there last year too, so it wasn't a surprise to see him do as well as he did this year. Hunter Snyder also had a really dominating performance up at 189. But yeah, that was a good tournament. I like that tournament because you get to see mix between AA and AAA, and districts that you're not going to see a whole lot. I mean, I don't think we had a lot of Penn Trafford on Plum head to head, considering they're going to duel this week. So I'm glad about that. But it's always good to see kind of where these teams stack up with some of the AA schools that are up there.
It's always a good mix early on, right? To
Yeah.
mix these two in, and especially here in December, and then you get these dual meet tournaments coming, and then after that, it's almost like, okay, now it's time to regroup, reset, get back to the practice room, see where we need to make some changes. Obviously, get the weight in order, and then get through the holidays, and then you get right into the mix of the holiday tournament, and then right into the thick of things come January.
Absolutely, and we're going to see a lot of. We're going to see a lot of good duels and individual tournaments coming up here. And as you mentioned, the Ironmans this weekend, but then you're going to have, before you know, we're going to be previewing Powerade, right? And it's just going to hit us. I feel like it already did hit us pretty hard. This weekend was a lot for us. We streamed 4 events all across the state. We had the Top Hat tournament. We had the Eastern area at Gateway, Char Houston, and of course the Hickory tournament. So, that was a lot, and we're looking to continue the coverage throughout the year and stream as much as we can to get all this high quality wrestling to, have the ability to watch this. And there's a lot to be seen.
Yeah, especially with the weather the way it is, right? I don't know. This has been one of the colder Decembers that I remember. And, a lot of people that can't make it out can just stay right here and look on your computer and watch through PA Power Wrestling to make sure you follow your favorite wrestlers, favorite teams, and just continue to cheer them on as they go through the tournament. So definitely a benefit to have this as a streaming option.
What's going on with Pitt? You called the Pitt duel, right? What was that?
Actually I did not. So Pitt had
I thought you did call that one.
No, they weren't at home, so they were away. But their next home match will be next Saturday, so I'll be there for that one. But nothing home match wise since the November one they had.
All right. Well,
you gotta know your Pitt Panthers, Jeffrey. Come on.
My Pitt Panthers. I mean, come on. You're talking to a West Virginia graduate, brother. But I do. Yeah, there's more Pennsylvania natives on the Pitt team than there are on the West Virginia Mountaineers. So, yes, you're right. Maybe I'll keep a close eye.
I'll tell you, West Virginia's getting a lot of them too, though.
Yeah. I mean, Ty Waters obviously is the biggest one, but they definitely have some other ones coming in. Pitt, though, Stout lost to Bechtold against Bucknell. They had a good win over Lehigh. So, yeah, you're the one who needs to follow Pitt. You don't even know what's going on with them. How are you supposed to call their match and you don't even know who's good, who's trying to get better? You got to do your homework.
Well, wait a second. Did you ask me about any of the results? I think you asked me how my broadcast was this past weekend, and I said I wasn't there because
I don't know. For some reason I thought you were there.
Yeah, so I think your argument there is a little off, but I appreciate you trying anyway to try to throw me on the bus after you take your lumps.
My wife tells me the same thing all the time. Your argument is off. Your argument is off, Jeff. Yeah. Excited for this weekend. We've got a lot of good wrestling, a lot of good duels, and a lot of good early season matches. A lot of surprises, and it's already getting interesting, and it's only been a week and a half through. So
yep.
I feel like we're gonna have a lot to talk about next week when we dissect some of these individual and team results, just like we did this past weekend. Because we had such high, ranked matchups go head to head. Collinsville and Cannon Mac for sure was that's I hope we see that again and see what adjustments were made.
And we might have to adjust the show next week, Jeff, since the Steelers play on Monday night. And I know how much you love watching the Steelers play. So we'll have to see when we can get it in next week.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Well, as always, appreciate everyone who's listening in, watching in. For Jeff Upson.